Our final speaker for today is Ant Morehouse, and I'm really looking forward to hearing our final session. I love the fact that Ant actually was an Australian Army Special Forces counter-terrorism commander. So I'm going to listen to what he says, or at least pretend that I'm like listening to everything you say, because you're a very dangerous man. He actually he left there and started an amazing company called Dynamic, and Dynamic grew to over a $20 million company, which he then exited and sold, and has now stepped into his new venture, which is really, really exciting. And he's going to be talking about Earth Tech, his new venture, venture capital, connecting issues that young people care about, and connecting exponential technology. Please put your hands together and welcome Ant to the stage right now.
Hi everybody, are we on? Are we good? Now we're good. It's amazing to be here today. Thank you very much for having me. Today what I wanted to talk about is exponential impact. As an entrepreneur and as a tech guy, I've been in Boulder, Colorado for the last 4 years, and everyone over there is obsessed with exponential technology. And so today we're just flipping that a little bit and talking about exponential impact. There's 4 ingredients in my book to achieving the exponential impact that we as a community need to do, regardless of which aspect of this we're coming at it from. We've heard a lot today about impact investment. I'm a massive believer in that, and it's working really well globally, and it's growing exponentially. Technology by its very nature is exponential. It's why that the computing power for the entire NASA program is now in all of your pockets. I'm so passionate about young people because they are the creators, they are the innovators, they're the disruptors. They always have been, they always will be, but this generation is armed with technology as their mother tongue. And the NGO sector and the INGO sector, because as Damon pointed out, you guys have the rule book. You've been doing this for 70 plus years. You guys can lead the rest of us that are coming from the capitalist world or the tech world or the entrepreneur world. You can show us where the landmines are on the journey towards meeting the UN global goals. So let's unpack impact investment ever so slightly, but I don't want to duplicate what's already been spoken about today. So there's no secret that charity globally is not growing fast. Globally, it's about a $410 billion trade. That's including religious organisations, which account for about 30%, and it's growing at about 3%. So it's linear growth globally. And I know in this room, your budgets are going down, particularly on the government side. So linear growth, but we're faced with problems that are truly out of this world and exponential. So we're not going to be able to do it in the same ways we have done. As Damon said, impact investing didn't even exist 10 years ago. Now it's $500 billion. In 5 years' time, it's going to be $1 trillion conservatively, and as Matt was talking about, in 10 years, up to $10 trillion. Impact investing is basically giving an investor, an individual, and we're not just talking about high net worth individuals, we're talking about superannuation funds, we're talking about young people who need to save for their futures, but they also want to do the right thing by the planet and by humanity. They can have their cake and eat it too. They don't have to make a decision on whether they want the impact or they want the return. They can do both now. One example that I love is the Nature Conservancy, a team of 400 scientists backed by 4,000 staff, including some really smart economists. They're a traditional NGO, but they've changed their model so that they can attract impact investment. They've got the financial power to go and look at a block of land, large area of land with a proposed coal mine on it. They can go in, buy the land, improve the biodiversity, improve the carbon sequestration, and provide their impact investors a 7% return. That enables them to double down on their investment portfolio and, way more importantly, their impact. Let's assume that we can't get enough impact investment into your hands fast enough to do the great work that you're so passionate about doing. So how are we going to do more with less faster? And the only answer that I know is technology. If you don't understand technology, there's really only one thing that you do need to understand, and it's called Moore's Law. Moore's Law says that the power of technology, of any particular technology, doubles every 18 months, and the price halves every 18 months. It's worked throughout history, from semiconductors to batteries, now to solar cells, wind farms. It's why that in 2019, coal production is capped, coal companies are going out of business, because it's now cheaper to put solar, wind and battery technology into place, both at a national, local and microgrid level, than it is to operate coal mines. Not build new coal mines, just to operate coal mines. So outside of the lobbying and outside of the public policy, the market is just going to basically keep coal in the ground, keep oil in the ground, because it's becoming too expensive. Because the technology that's bringing in electric vehicles and renewable energy is here. It's here now. And over the next 5 years, it's basically going to completely disrupt that market. So the NGO sector has been slow to adopt technology. And I totally understand why. Because the technologists that have built the unicorns, the Gates, the Jobs, the Zuckerbergs, when they were building their firms, they didn't care about what they were building. They were just building stuff that people bought, and the people that were fueling that technology, the venture capitalists, often the vulture capitalists, didn't care what was being sold. They didn't care about the impact to the consumer nor to society, as long as the valuations of those companies could get as high and as fast as possible. But there's a new breed. There's a new breed of technologists coming in. There's a new breed of entrepreneurs coming in. I'm late to the party to understand the importance of impact. I apologise. But these new people that are coming in, they're humanist technologies. They're not building because they can. They're building because they care. And when you grab people that understand the power of that technology and you give them a purpose, and you, the people in this room, help them to align that purpose to the problem to achieve the United Nations global goals, imagine the human potential that collectively we can unlock. Personally, I'm most passionate about young people. I've got a 10-year-old and a 13-year-old daughter. I'm basically doing Earth Tech for them. My initial motivation was to make sure that on my deathbed, they saw that I was on the right side of history. Totally selfish. I've got a broader kind of ambition and a broader goal now around society and around the planet. But ultimately, for me personally, it was about my children and it was about my grandchildren. At Earth Tech, our target demographic is Greta's army. I can't believe standing here at 41-ish years old, that my hero is a 16-year-old girl from Sweden, but it is, legitimately. In 1 year, she has rallied an entire generation around the need to act, and they are. And at Earth Tech, what we're trying to do is turn that despair that they have for the climate, for humanity, and turn that into hope, to give them the skills and the connections and the networks and the access to capital that they need to turn their ideas into a reality and help them scale their organisations towards impact. This is Ruben, one of our youth ambassadors. He's a 16-year-old robotics whiz kid. He's also one of the best swimmers in Australia, so we may well see him, vying for Olympic gold for Australia in the near future. He is on a mission to have as much impact as he possibly can as quickly as possible. He doesn't believe that he has to wait to finish school, to finish university, to do an internship, to do 5 years in a career before having impact. His generation want to have impact now, and they can because they have 3 traits that most of us don't in this room. Technology is their mother tongue. They're hyper-connected. They can turn an interest into a movement like that. And they have a social consciousness like no generation before them has ever had. We're calling out to all the youth around Australia at the end of this year, and we're running an Earth Tech challenge. And we're asking them to come and propose an idea in one of these 5 categories that all link up to the United Nations global goals. We then partner with them to provide them the support that they need. And all we're doing is creating the space and creating the networks and creating the access to capital that they need to lead youth-led innovation and youth-led projects towards the global goals. And then there's you. Then there's the not-for-profit sector. And you're not the most important part of these four, but you're definitely the foundation, the bedrock, because you're in this part, you know what to do. The rest of us are just late to the party. You need to show us how to create the impact. We can just bring the capital and the tech and the innovation to help you do what you've been doing for the last 70 years, but just with a focus on exponential impact. Thank you very much for your time. Cheers, mate.
So who got something out of those sessions? They're amazing. Really fantastic. Can you please again put your hands together for all of the speakers that shared today? Really great stuff. Thank you, everybody. And just as I hand back over to Mark, again, I just love that thought that Ant, you shared there about it's about turning ideas into reality. That there's ways it can happen. It's not magic. It's not something that only a select few can do, but there are processes, there are partners that you can connect with, people like myself, like Ant, like others, that we can actually turn these ideas into the real stuff. Afterwards, please, throughout the day, if you have questions, if you have anything you want to talk about, please come and talk to Jack, to Dermot, to Ant, to myself. Through the breaks, we're going to be available and around, and would love to connect with you in any way that you would like as well. And I just want to leave with 3 really quick questions as I hand back over to you, Mark, out of all of those impact sessions for us to consider. Question number 1, how will we tackle our impact and innovation challenges? The challenges are real. We've all been honest about them. It's no good ignoring them. How are we going to tackle them? Rather than just kind of being passive and being paralysed as a result. Question number 2, how will we capitalise on the corresponding opportunities? Because right now, this moment in time is an opportunity, and history will judge us for our response. So how will we go about capitalising on those opportunities? And the final question, and maybe the most important one to really drill down from a concept to something practical, is I would like us all to think about what is one thing that each of us is going to do differently this week. One thing we're going to commit to doing in response this week as a result of what we've heard. Thanks for your time. Looking forward to meeting and talking to you many later on. Have a great day.
Thanks, Matt, for that wonderful session. Thanks to all of the presenters in the Ignite session. And we're all in the hope business, but it's reassuring to know that there are lots of others in other sectors, in other industries and in startups that are also in the hope business.